is pro, so we grow. Using procurement, program and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Business Zone with
Crystal. You don't have your background on.
I know. And Coach Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. And folks, today we're going to have an amazing show. My co-host is going to make some amazing things happen for us today. So co-host, how are you doing?
I'm good. I got a little allergy thing going on right now. I went to see a client on Wednesday, and it was hot. Wednesday was a very hot day.
Yeah.
And I had to open up the window, and they're on the street facing street, right up the street where they're doing work on Metro.
Yeah.
And I must have gotten some dust that must have came in, and it just it's been wiped me out all this week.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Raining science, and I don't normally get this kind of stuff, and so, and then of course my body's probably tired from the summer, and so that's how I'm doing. But other than that, I'm fine. I'm excited. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to watch the DNC convention. Now, I am not one.
No, I didn't get a chance at all. I was working on these other projects and I totally forgot about it.
It was incredible. It was just incredible. And I don't think I've ever watched, and I don't know about anybody out in the audience, I have never sat through 4 days of anybody's convention.
Oh, really?
But it was amazing. It was done extremely well. People are excited. Yes. And so now we just have to make sure that carries over, because we are, as of today, 75 days from the election.
Wow, that's amazing. It's sneaking up on us.
It's sneaking up on us. And what's so important about this one is because it's all about freedom. It's about our freedom, about every American's freedom in this country. And unless you're MAGA, then you really don't. You won't have any freedom. And actually, MAGA folks won't have any freedom either. They just don't know it yet. So this is probably, of our time, the most important election that we will ever vote in. I wonder if my grandmother was alive today, if she would be saying, wow, this is the second time in my lifetime that I voted in America that it had such an important
candidate.
Right, for this candidate. So, and it's not really the candidate. It's just about freedom and democracy.
I know it's about that, but it's also about the historic candidates, because Obama was historic. And Kamala is historic too, right? Because she's a female.
Yeah, she will be the very first woman elected in the United States. But there's so much writing on this election, as we've been talking about, and everybody, if you've tuned in to us for the last couple of episodes, episodes, we've been talking about Project 25, and it's such just a disaster. Project 25. And so it's more than just, yes, she will be the very first Black woman, minority woman, biracial woman, any of those one things you want to throw in there, a woman to be the president of the United States. Other countries have had women rulers. Obviously, Britain was ruled pretty much for the last 200 years by a woman.
I believe Switzerland had a female as well.
India had a female, right?
Yeah, and I think Australia, didn't they have a female?
Yeah, I think Australia. I got some notes. I'm going to talk about women that broke some big barriers. But America, which is supposed to be the country of innovation, freedom, democracy, which is why we became America in the first place, you know, at least in the history books that I read, and I was taught from. But we are literally, when we look at the ceiling for women and the restrictions for women and how men in our society really want to control our women, it makes you wonder. It really does, being the country that we are.
Mm-hmm.
And as a female myself, when I worked in corporate America, it was very stifling because there were so many barriers in place as a woman, but then being a Black woman, it was even more so. And then I'm sure as a Black man, you felt that as well. So
oh yeah, every step of the way, man.
Right, we had to struggle through everything, and you do truly have to be 10, 20, 15 times better than your white counterpart.
Yeah. I use this image, this graphic when I do some of my workshop with like some characters running a race. They're like 4 or 5 of them running a race, like a 100-meter sprint. And you have different color characters, right? One of them is Black. So in the lane in which the Black character is, there's so many obstacles there. You got the what's the thing when they jump? The hurdles.
Right? The hurdles.
So you got the hurdle there. You got stones. You got broken bottles. You got all kinds of things in that lane for that one athlete, you know, that he had to overcome. So we go through that to explain to the participants in our workshop that, listen, as a minority and small business owner, entrepreneur, you're going to have all these hurdles in front of you and more. So you better get used to it, that you got to be 10 times better than your competitors. You got to be prepared 10 times better than your competitors, and just understand the marketplace better in order to win.
Exactly. So that's, you know, from a business standpoint, from a gender standpoint, and definitely from being a minority, you got like a triple hitter if you fall under the banner of all 3 of those. And so it's so much higher. So it is exciting. I've not seen the entirety of the convention. You know, every day I saw some part of it. I saw Obama speak. I saw Michelle Obama speak. Of course, Tim Wise when he spoke. Kamala last night, and some others, and then I've been there. It's all over. It's all online, so you can actually catch it. But you know, people have hope, and that was what everyone was feeling prior to Biden stepping back. Is the hope that maybe there will be a change, because there definitely was no hope prior to that. But I would like to open up the show once when we get started with her acceptance of the Democratic nominee to be president president of the United States.
So is it over now, or do they still have another?
Yeah, no. Last night was the last night.
Oh, okay.
And so it ended with her. I mean, they had celebrity after celebrity after celebrity come up, and they even had, and this is, you know, it's always like the people that take the high roads and the people that take the low roads, right? So they even had Republicans that are going to be voting for her and saying they're just tired of all of the rhetoric, and they feel that, you know, the Republican Party has been trashed and is no longer the Republican Party. It's the MAGA Party, and they're just wanting destruction and to recreate America in their likeness. And so a lot of Republicans spoke on their behalf. They were invited by the Democrats, and it wasn't about Republican and Democrat. It was about we the people. So
for those of you who are just tuning in, this is the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We're on every Friday from 3 to 4:30. Today we're having an amazing show. my co-host is going to share some information with us. As you know, this is a business show for small, minority, disadvantaged business, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and even micro businesses. Now, as you guys know, in November will be election, and every business owner will be impacted by that election, some way, shape, or form. So, you guys need to start thinking about, how you want to get yourself involved in this process. I know I've heard a lot of people say, I'm not voting, I vote every year. But think about it, before you say, I'm not voting, because there are some impact to this election, guys. My co-host and I, we went over a manifesto by the Republicans where they put forward a program called Project 2025. That means if they win in 2025, they're going to be trying to implement some programs, such as getting rid of the SBA program, getting rid of the MBDA program for small minority businesses, get rid of other technical assistance program. There is an organization called PTAC, PTAC, and they're funded by the SBA and the federal government to help small minority, women-owned small businesses. So whether you're not one of the ethnicities, you can still get benefit from that program. So if you're trying to bid on contracts, they'll assist you. So those are the kind of programs that, these guys are thinking of getting rid of. So the question you may want to ask yourself is, do I want to sit quiet, see if these programs go away, or do I want to get involved in the process and try to help to grow your business, help to grow your family and your community? So that's what this is all about. So my co-host is going to present a program from the conference last night, and
hopefully get you all excited about it, because as Gilbert says, from an individual standpoint, from a Black woman, Black man standpoint, from a Black minority business owner standpoint, there will be so many things removed that will hinder us from growing in our businesses. For women, we're really truly in danger because they really want to control our ability to make decisions for our own bodies, make decisions on whether or not we can even work, whether we can have property in our own names. These are things that taking us back to several hundred years ago, when as women, we were considered third-class citizens. And so that's very, very important, excuse me, that we remember what it was like for our great-grandparents and the privilege and the benefits and the joy that we have, that we as women can walk freely among this earth and not be the property of a man. That's very important to me.
That was way back in the 1800s, the latter part of the 1800s, guys, when there was we didn't have any rights.
Right. Yeah.
They told us we have some rights, but we really didn't have it.
Right. And then add the Black part to it, and you really had no rights. So go figure on that one. But let's get the show started with excitement and going on. Did you have a good week before we do that?
Yes, I had a good week, man. But I think what you're presenting is even better than my week. So. All righty
then. Well, that's what we're going to do.
What you got there, co-host?
Okay, so let me jump over here. This is last night, and Kamala Harris, Kamala, so that we know how we pronounce her name, and then soon to be Madam President, so you won't even really need to worry about the first name. So here we go. And here we go.
On behalf of the people, on behalf of every American, regardless of party, race, gender, or the language your grandmother speaks, on behalf of my mother and everyone who has ever set out on their own unlikely journey, on behalf of Americans like the people I grew up with, people who work hard, chase their dreams, and look out for one another, on behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest nation on earth, I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America. And so on
that
behalf
was her acceptance of being the nominee for president for the United States of America. So it was just wonderful. I mean, the arena, it was in the arena in Chicago where the Bulls play. It was jam packed. All the women got the memo, and they all wore white to represent her. And when after she finished her speech and she accepted, she dropped the ball. They dropped the balloons. It was just amazing. It's just really amazing. So I can just imagine what the inauguration is going to look like when that absolutely happens.
Amazing.
So that was some history in the making. Yeah. And it's just so interesting. I do remember when Obama accepted. Actually, I guess I must have watched the DNC convention when he was nominated, because I do remember his speech. But then most importantly, I remember when he won. And I called my cousin who lives in Virginia, and I said, okay, I'm on my way. So that was like November, the day of the election.
I remember when you said that.
Yeah, I'm on my way. I'll be there for the inauguration. So I've already reserved my room with him. He said it's sitting there waiting.
You did that even before the election. You reserved your room.
So I've already, for this one, I've already reserved, and thank God, because I hear the prices is just astronomical. So he told me no problem. So me and Mona and Daisy, we will be going to the inauguration for Kamala Harris, President Kamala Harris, Madam President. Because it would not be right to have gone for the first black president, male black president, and not go there for the woman. Now would it?
I hear you, co-host. I hear you. I'm with you.
So we're gonna go. I've already been standing in the cold weather for the National Mall. Not gonna do that. We're gonna watch it from some cozy hotel. That's what we're gonna do.
So but today, those hotels are all gonna be booked, man.
All those hotels are already booked.
Oh,
in fact, with all the people that were at the inauguration, at the convention in Chicago, they already start booking. I see it on Facebook. Everybody start booking. It actually, they were saying that DC proper was already booked up when they the first call out for her when Biden stepped back and nominated Kamala.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's history in the making, man. That's history in the making.
I hear you, co-host. And the thing about it is, you've been there every step of the way for both times, right?
Yeah. Well, like I said, as a woman, it is so important that we are acknowledged for the value that we bring. Not just to the country, but to our families. We know what we bring, and you and I had this conversation about women in business. Women in business are is a whole nother phenomenon. When women are in business, they are business owners to their heart. They will go the distance, even when you've probably said to them, you know what, it may be time to pack it in because it just doesn't look like this business is feasible to go further, and they'll keep going, and sometimes they turn it around.
See, part of the reason why they do that, co-host, is because they know they have no other choice, no other option. So it's either they do it and sink and explode, or they do it and win. You know,
Yeah.
so that's why they're going, hey, you know, you're telling me I'm gonna lose, but hey, let me lose fighting. So
Right.
that's it.
Right. And so so women are, I don't know, when you stop to think about it, I think we've had this conversation during Black History Month. What would this country be without us as
Yeah,
Black people?
yeah,
And we know what that would look like because of
right.
all the things that have been invented by us and patented by us,
Yeah,
but then you have to ask yourself, what would this world look like without women?
yeah. Well, that to me, that's like a non-starter because, you know, there's a reason why women are created. You know, I just think it's an amazing thing. You know, just looking at a woman, man, it's like fine specimen. You see what I'm saying? It's a fine specimen. I don't even know how to describe it. You know, so it would be difficult to figure out because I think about these things all the time. You know, I said, man, you know, God, you did well, God, you did well. High five.
Well, I mean, you have to start with your mother, right? Going like,
Yeah,
how that? Because we talk about this so many times.
yeah,
With my mom, I'm like, how the heck did she do what she did?
yeah, yeah.
Besides being probably the most selfless human beings on the planet of the earth, because they have to put everybody's needs before their own
Before
needs.
theirs, yeah.
Yeah,
That's to me, that's the original women right there, man. That's the
right.
original women.
Exactly.
They created the blueprint for what women needs to be, should be, and needs to be for today. You know, so yeah, man, that was selflessness. You know, making all those sacrifices, giving us their last dollar, and they go without food and oh man, it's just unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable.
Right. It's
They
just
don't make
unbelievable.
they don't make them like that anymore, co-hosts. They don't make them like
That's
that.
what I'm hearing from the young men in this world.
They
They're
don't
like
make them
really
like that, man.
discouraged by
Just think about
um
your mom. Think about your mom and the things she did. You know, I don't see anyone else around here doing anything like that. You know,
not not the younger person, not the, let's say, the 30-year
not the
old.
modern ones.
Yeah, the modern ones. I think you would have found that obviously women in their 40s, because they still, they had parents that were my mom's age.
Yeah,
Maybe 20s and 30s, nah, not so
man.
much.
Yeah, that's
The
where
only
you're
way
hopeless
the
there.
young women would have gotten that is to have influence with their grandmothers, because their
Grandparents, right?
grandmothers and their great grandmothers would be
Yeah.
those women that we grew up with, right?
You know what I'm thinking, Carl? So maybe you can coordinate this, right? You see, like how you guys have that group of women.
Yeah.
What do you call them? The what?
The Bellas.
The Bellas, right?
Uh-huh.
You see how you guys have that group? Someone needs to create a group like that with some older women from the old school women for these younger girls and to teach and coach them into, hey, that's not how we do things. That's not how we prepare ourselves for life. That's not how we prepare ourselves for marriage and and children and family. You know, I think that would be amazing if something like that happened, man.
I agree. In fact, it was so interesting yesterday. And we'll jump into our topic in a minute. Yesterday, I was a young man. I was taking. I had a luncheon yesterday. So a young man, and he wanted me to take him to the train stop so he could come into LA. And he is a consultant with the Urban League. And we were having a conversation, and he seemed, and I guess, I just got that face. I'm a consultant, right? A counselor, a
Yeah,
coach. Folks just start opening
everything.
up and just telling you everything.
Yeah,
And so you find yourself putting your coach's hat on every single day. But he
yeah,
was just having that conversation, and he, had broken up with his girl some time ago. And he was saying, I'm just all over the place. I don't know sure what I'm supposed to do. And so he was saying, I really think I should just pack up everything here and go back home and just beg her to take me back. And
wow.
I said, well, let me ask this question. What were her exact words? He said, I said, when he said she broke us up, she was the one that said that she wanted to break off the relationship.
Right.
And I said, so what were her exact words? And he went to I said, not your interpretation of her words. I need to know her exact words.
Right.
And so he told me her exact words. And I said, so I would say, no, don't pack up and go back to her
Right.
as you are right now. Because that was one of her things. She needed you to be more stable. And I asked her with her age, and she's kind of like between 32 and 36.
Wow.
And so meaning she's ready for marriage and she's ready for babies.
And family. Yeah.
And a family, because that's the natural progression, right?
Yeah.
And I said, are you ready for that right now? And he says, no, I'm still trying to pull myself together. And that was some of the things she wasn't feeling, that he was together. He wasn't moving fast enough.
Right.
I said, since it's been so soon, I would say that I wouldn't toss it, but you need to get you together first.
Right.
You need to come correct the way she wants you to be.
Yeah.
Come correct, because you're not feeling secure enough in yourself to go like this.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that's what has to happen. I said, I'm several decades older than you. And I'm telling you, when a woman says what she says at that age, she means it. And so no amount of conversation that you're going to have is going to change it if she's giving you the exact reasons why she's not staying. And the same thing for a man. If you're telling a woman you're not fitting my checklist, if your checklist is reasonable, then there is no reason for us to continue on, right? So,
right.
So I think you're right. I think it's from both sides, though. I think today's generation, the younger generation, they need guidance from their elders, because we've been there, man. I told him, I said, I'm telling you this from personal experience. I'm not telling you because I read it in a book. I'm telling you from personal experience if she says that, then listen to her.
It's a whole process that doesn't get done in a month or 2 months, 3 months, or 6 months. It's an ongoing thing. So I know Steve Harvey has this camp that he runs every year for adolescent males. So, and these are for males who don't have a father, right? Either the father is in prison or, that type of thing. So they're doing that for the young guys. I'd love to see a lot more of those types of programs. I wouldn't mind getting involved in something like that, because, I could share my experience. I could share my accomplishments, some of these youngsters, and just,
guiding them. And for you, you would have a lot to give back to them, because one, you immigrated from another country, and you were able to establish a life here in this country. You got your education, you are successful at what you do. You acquired some skills, and you weren't expecting it to be easy when that happened. You went through some challenges. You told me, you only had your $200 when you got here.
Yeah. Being chased every morning by a dog and my bicycle.
Oh, your bicycle. That was your means of transportation, your bicycle.
Yeah, that I had when I was selling newspaper. I was delivering newspaper every morning on the bicycle, man. And those dogs, man, they would chase me.
Right, exactly. So, you had to pay your dues, right? So I think it's important for both men and women to give back. That's why I do what I do, because you got to help shape some of these kids, because they're coming from younger parents as well. And younger parents don't necessarily have not learned that.
I would love to get with some other men, maybe 5, 6 or so. And we can put together a program for many of these young men to just guide them and, celebrate them when they achieve something, and, kind of prepare them for what they call a rite of passage.
Yeah, and they have had. There's a couple groups out there. I'll get you some referrals that are doing that. They just don't have enough men that want to volunteer for that, but that definitely needed because we can empower women, which is what we're going to talk about, empowering women to empower our communities. But our women also need their male counterparts to be empowered as well. We're a community. And so just the definition of the word community means we all need to be functioning at our highest level of greatness, right? And so for our children, we need that. But this episode today we're going to kind of talk about the powerful roles women should play in shaping our everyday lives, but mostly in 2025, the leadership positions that women have acquired from going from grassroots moments to for moving forward and to take charge. And so if you guys remember just a month or so ago, everybody was feeling really depressed on what this was going to look like, the election in 2025. And with that, in just a short period of time, women came together, they mobilized, and women came together. That very first call with the Black Women's Win with Black Women, they had 44,000 women on a phone call. In a matter of a couple of hours, they'd raised over $250,000, and it just kind of steamrolled into a whole number of other organizations. And I'm going to take this off just for a second because I want to show you. I was on a call yesterday, and let me close that out just for a minute. And the Black Women's let's see, remove this right here. Hide that. Black Women's Network. And in that, they got, let me see if I can find it. I sent it to myself this morning. All of the groups that have actually come together, no, it wasn't this one, that actually came together with calls. I mean, there's like 20, 30 different people that have, everyone from men to women. It's just like we became part of a whole mission. And now these groups are having weekly phone calls. It's like almost like 2020 all over again. And so it's really kind of amazing that this is going on. I can't find it right now, so I'll share it in the post. But let's jump into our little presentation here on women and what they have done and where they're going. So when we look at women, all right, my computer is slow. All right, so women, we know everyone has grandparents. Everybody had a mama. Everybody knows the power of a woman in their society. I don't care where you came from, what country you came from, what era you came from. Women play a major role in shaping who we are today. I think back with my mom. I think back with really close friends of my mom. My mom was a single parent with just me initially. And she had this whole village of women that in 1950, being a single mom with a daughter, they encased her and they supplied her with the resources that she needed in order to feel protected and to be a good mother. I imagine anything like that in Jamaica that comes to mind to you?
Well, I don't know of one for the women, but I do know of one for the men. It was a program where if the juveniles get into trouble with the law and they get arrested, they would bring them back into this program that would prevent them from going back into jail. And and they would bring together folks like myself and others to coach these guys, help them with entrepreneurship, help them with just life skills, how to tie a tie, how to, when they get dressed up for an interview, some of the things that they can wear and some things they cannot wear.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we go over those things, man. Those were important. And there were 3 of the guys that I guess I touched their lives. They were all just amazing about it. They're saying, "Oh, thank you. It's because of you why I have this."
Awesome. That's
Well,
awesome.
I felt like it was nothing, but to them it was a big deal.
Yeah, a very big deal. And we don't even sometimes realize how important it is. So some of the benefits of women empowerment obviously is economic. So we work in our coaching area of expertise is in business, and it's all about helping businesses be able to increase the potential of profits and revenue and wealth in their families, and doing it through the entrepreneurial vehicle to do that. So women play a major part in contributing to the economics of this country, or any country for that matter, right?
Yeah.
They have and in order to one of the things that we're looking for in 2025 is for them to have protection, social protection, access to markets, control over their own resources, control over their own time, their lives, their bodies, and have an increased voice that can make a difference for our young people that are growing up today. So economically, it is vitally important that we all operate in a balanced world, not men running women, but men and women working together to create a better world for our children. That's how I look at it.
Right. I think that's a good approach.
Right, exactly. And then from the social aspect, we're just talking about that. Just how important both men and women are to our children. The kids coming up today need to look back at their elders and the wiser the age group that's above them and age groups that are above them, because we help them change who they are. We help develop them into the people that they're going to be, right? Through our own experiences. And so women are definitely the benefits of us being around with a voice is for economic empowerment, social empowerment, because the ability of women and girls to act together and individually to change social relationships and institutions that don't exclude them, but include them in the makeup of this country.
Right. I agree, man. I totally agree.
Right.
We just need more people to come forward and just participate,
Right. And then politically,
Yeah.
which is really what brings all of this to head, is we need women's voices. I mean, the one thing I can think when we had in 2016 when Trump was elected, and you have all these men speaking for women.
Yeah.
And they don't know us from Adam, but women know each other, right? And so political representation for women is vitally important to a thriving society. Yeah. Women are the ones that are having the children. Women are the ones that are grooming and educating the children, teaching them everything that they need before they even leave the house to go to school.
Yeah.
They're learning that from their mothers. And then women need to see other women in leadership positions so that they know that that the opportunity is there for them. So women are underrepresented in a lot of leadership roles globally. There's some few of the stats are 37% of the leadership role and 28.2% of management roles are women. And we talked about this kind of last week on the population is out of balance. But in senior roles, women make up only 32% of the workforce. And even though women make up almost half of the global workforce. So here's an interesting thing that I learned from a guy, Gilbert. We were questioning why teachers don't make enough money to live, right? And the guy said, and he'd been in education for a very long time, and he said, if there were more men in the education of teaching children, that the salaries would be more comparable to a different. They would be probably double or triple what they are as women. I mean, as a woman. And he says it's because majority of the teachers, and I'm going to tell you guys the number of women teachers in America. What is that percentage? And this is the reason why teachers don't make enough money. So women teachers, they make up, there are 3.1 million female teachers in America, and there's 1.2 million men. So there are more women teachers than there are male teachers. And this guy indicated if there were men that was more dominant in the education world, then they would be making more money. So 76% of public school teachers are women.
That's a good point, man. That's a good point. And I believe it is so because they know that the men can go out, they've got influence because they know somebody. Every male person knows, somebody, who was in the Christian faith. So by reaching out that way and then getting to the churches and then getting to the politicians through that would have been a workable type event.
Yeah. So it's so again, it's the underrepresentation of women in certain occupations. But again, it comes down to women's rights, right? They are literally trying to remove women's rights, and if they do that, so right now, if teachers are underpaid and women are underpaid, great percentage for men, it's not going to get any better until there's some changes from the political side. So our political empowerment is very important because women will fight for the rights of their families. That's what they're doing. They're fighting for their families. And so it's very important to them that they set up a great example for women for their daughters, so that their daughters will know. There was a lady last night with Kamala, and the lady said, this is absolutely amazing. My daughter, and she's here with me tonight. My daughter is sitting here looking at a woman that is potentially can be the president of the United States. What kind of change? What a new goal or vision for her, that as a young woman, as a child, she too can be the president. And the little girl said that, can I be the president one day? So just like Obama, it just opens up so many possibilities for that. That's why it's also important, I think, women are represented in STEM fields, politics, financial fields, construction. I actually admire all the women that we know that are running construction companies. I know great deal of your clientele are women that are. I just think that's absolutely amazing.
In the construction trades, because there was word on the street that the women don't like to work hard, so that's why they take cushy office jobs, and they don't really want to do work like sewer work, garbage removal, that type of thing. So they end up being mediocre or second class in those events that they choose. And as we see, what's her name? Gosh, I can't think of it right now. But recently, one of the athletes was trying to present herself in a certain kind of way that would help other women to understand what it takes, what their role is, and how to articulate that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we just got to do this in a group. And even though I would want to see results, I got to assume that, hey, it's my duty to do this. If they want to get to that result, then that's fine. That's gravy on it. But if they don't get to it, they tried. They tried.
Right, exactly.
And that's
When
how
we-
I'm looking at it.
When you look at your clients are all working in pretty much male dominated work spaces, right? The women that you help get certification, because a lot of them are in the construction industry, aren't they?
Yeah. A lot of them.
And what are some of those experiences though, as they're breaking through that ceiling? Because that's definitely a ceiling.
It is a ceiling, and it's a layered ceiling. It's layered because you got one ceiling from the private sector. You got another ceiling from the public sector, but that's like lower level type things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which makes it difficult for them anyway. Then you got a ceiling wherein they're a little bit more experienced, and now they can have what's the name of this? They can have access to certain types of things through certifications, through doing certain types of temporary job. When I say temporary job, I mean like getting a short-term contract, maybe for a year or something like that, right? But then by them sticking to that, then some of them are able to get bigger contracts, bigger jobs. Now they're stepping up their game. They're moving away from that short-term, temporary, project to more something that is more substantive.
Right.
Like what we were talking about on here today.
I do know that. I remember when we had, is it Raina that has the big equipment company?
It's another person.
Yeah,
isn't it Bo Becky? Isn't it Bo Becky?
Well, Becky has what does Bo Becky have?
Trucking.
I think, is she trucking?
Yeah.
She's trucking. And then we have Robin Thorne, who has what is she doing? She's doing demolition, right? I think Robin Thorne does demolition.
Yeah.
And then of course and Andrea, that's got the electrical company in Vegas.
Yeah.
What's some of our other women that are just doing in that what's Oye?
Theodora.
Theodora. Yeah, Oye. She's got
Amine.
Yeah, got Amine. These women are just like, to me, I work in a space, most of the women consultants, a lot of women consultants out there. But when I look at those women, I am just blown away and so impressed with how they've built their companies, which is truly male dominant.
Mm-hmm.
There is no, I don't know what, we have to have Bianca on. So the history, how do you break in as a woman to a space that's so heavily dominated by men and then rise to the top of the cream to the top? Because I know Theodora is doing some amazing things.
Yeah. It's just determination, man. Determination and using your own money, because many of these women, they're not getting loans or lines of credit to, they don't get to use other people's money as well as some of the men do. So those things create the chink in the armor too. And you'll see women-owned entrepreneurs walk away from this space, but they'll come back.
And what are the things that when you're talking to females that are heading in this direction, what are some of your advice to them in order for them to get to, say, a place like Amini or Bianca, as they are, if they have everything, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, and as they move into this space that's predominantly male.
My coaching instructions to many of the female entrepreneur is understand the space that you're trying to move into. It's like moving into an apartment. You understand that apartment. That means you're going to understand the size of the apartment, understand the rules of the apartment, by the owner or whomever, right? Understand where the apartment is located, what community, what town it's in. Is it a good area? Is it a good neighborhood? What's there? Is there anything that you can benefit from? So it's the same thing when you go after a contract or business opportunity. Understand your industry, see what it is that contract providers in your industry are looking for. You don't just learn that by just standing by the wayside and observing. One way of learning those things is having sit downs with some of the contract providers. Hey, just a brief 10-minute I would like from you. I don't need any long meeting or anything, just 10 minutes, right? And then you want to learn what type of procurement do you guys procure on an annual basis. You also want to learn, okay, what types of businesses do you look for to work in those types of trades, in that type of procurement? And once you find out what is it they're looking for, they're going to say, hey, we're looking for a firm that's more than 5 years old, someone who is familiar with this type of work, someone who's done some of this work before, and a lot of what they want might be things that pose barriers to you, because you may, as a female entrepreneur, may not have done any of this type of stuff. So in order to get in, some of the questions you may want to ask is, do you have a mentor protege program where I could get involved as a protege to a mentor who's been in the space, over 10, 20 years, and then I could learn from that person? Do you have subcontracting opportunities that when I get that through a prime or even your organization, that I could perform this job, but also understand the bigger role, the bigger responsibility, like a project manager or something to that effect? So these are things that female entrepreneurs want to try to look at and try to ask questions about. How do I learn some of this from a seasoned prime or a seasoned contractor? Sometimes contractors will say, hey, you can come in, as an understudy. We'll give you this role, but you shadow one of our key representative and see what they do, see how they do it. You may not be paid for some of this, but at least you get to shadow them, see what they do. Now, while you're shadowing these people, you're taking notes, you're collecting data. You maybe use your phone to record information that's being disseminated. Ask questions from project managers and those types of guys. So once you're asking these things and you're learning, then you would be surprised when an opportunity come up and you get to another thing you can do as a female entrepreneur is try to team with someone else. You can call it a joint venture or something to that extent. So as a joint venture, you won't take the lead because you're not the one with all that knowledge, but you'll take a subordinate role while that other person take the lead. For example, when I was at Metro doing the Exposition Light Rail project, there was a joint venture who won that project to build the light rail from downtown Los Angeles to Santa Monica, 26 miles of rail.
Okay.
And that was Skanska and Rados. So Rados was, not familiar with this marketplace, not familiar with this landscape, not familiar with what Skanska was. So they teamed up and they became a joint venture, and Skanska took the lead on it. So now Rados's name is on the project as one of the joint venture, but they stayed in the background because they weren't as knowledgeable as Skanska on the project. So they learned a lot from Skanska that way, So they may not have known how to build railroad tracks, above ground and underground, but just by observing Skanska, sitting in those meetings, going through their paperwork, doing their construction management plans and all of those things, they were able to learn a lot about that. So female entrepreneurs can do some of that too, because once you get blessed by a seasoned contractor in that space, then you could bid on another similar project afterwards, right?
Right.
But maybe a lesser dollar amount. Instead of a $1.6 billion amount, you could bid on maybe $1 million portion of that project.
But that's a good advice, because you get to see it, how it's being laid out, but you're not the ultimate responsible party. So you can so it's like learning on the job, right? It's an apprenticeship. So you learn that beforehand. So basically what you're saying, Gilbert, is that as women, certified businesses, their networking is to another level, basically, right?
Yes.
Because you want to network within where the primes are, but you also want to network even where the subs are, right? Because if there's more experienced subs there than subcontractors, then you can team up together and utilize your your specialty, their specialty, and then one with more experience, but will prepare them both for that next job. So that makes a lot of sense, because I always hear in that your space that networking is big, but it's not just networking, it's strategic networking, right?
Strategic networking. And one thing that small businesses, women-owned businesses, disadvantaged businesses need to understand is that when you're going after opportunities in today's marketplace, the contract owners, like the Edison, the gas company, the county of Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles, the LA Metros, those contract providers, they don't just, as a subcontractor, they don't just want to give you a contract award for your type of work. They want to give you a contract with a variety of different services tied to that. So if you're electrical, they want a concrete contractor, they want an environmental, they may want a trucking. So if you can get a team like that and you put that team together, right? You put that team together, two maybe female, two maybe male. You come in and say, okay, here is our team that we would like to go after this project right here. Now the project may be $5 million, okay? And there are four of you, they're going after it. So each one of you may be bidding 1.25 mil. You see what I'm saying? And you add that all up, it's 5 mil. So if your capacity was no more than 1.2 mil, 1.25 mil, then you can still go after that $5 million project. If you come together, and each person is going to be responsible for 1.25 mil. So you put that all together, you got your 5 mil right there. You see what I mean? So that's some of the ways in which, and I'm telling you, many of these contract providers, that's how they want to do it. Because when they have subcontractors come together in clusters like that, then one of them will be in charge of the whole group. instead
Right.
of the owner project managing the whole thing and saying, okay, let me go see what the electrical girl is doing, or the concrete guy, or
Right.
the environmental girl. You see what I'm saying? So that's how they're doing this. A new wave. This is a new wave of doing things. So that's why when I coach female entrepreneurs, I tell them, okay, we're not going to be pointing fingers, throwing in a blame, talking about, hey, how come they're not giving me opportunity? We're going to search for these opportunities, and we're going to claim these opportunities. And this is how we're going to claim them. You see what I mean?
Right.
So then we get a cluster of other subcontractors, right? And we put it together, we put the plan together, we outline the plan as to who's going to do what, who's going to be responsible for what. Make sure your insurance is up to snuff for your portion of the work. And then that's how you come together and you pitch it to the owner. Yeah, you pitch it to the owner that way, because otherwise the owner is going to reject you. No, sorry. This project is a $5 million project and you don't have the capacity to do $5 million. Yeah, it may be a $5 million project, but my portion is 1.25 mil. This other subcontractor's portion is 1.2. You put that all together, bam. When I was at LAUSD, we used to do what we call JOC contract, which is job order contracting. I think they still do it at LACCD and also LAUSD. That means they take a big contract, just like I described right now. Take a big contract, like a $5 million contract, and they break it up into smaller parts. When we break it up into smaller parts like that, guess what? A subcontractor like yourself, maybe your capacity was only 1.25 mil. Now you can participate on that contract, even though you're not going after the 5 mil. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's how they did that. And they also had insurance companies that were willing to grant insurance policies to those small subs who are doing smaller portion of the work. Amazing.
And it's easier to get bonding if you're breaking it up like that, as opposed to you being the one totally responsible for everything.
Exactly. It's much easier because you're only responsible for 1.25 mil. The other guy is responsible for his 1.25 mil. So the insurance company feel a little bit more comfortable because they're going, well, chances are they're not going to walk off this job and not perform it to the end because they're within their capacity. If it was a $5 million project, they'll go, well, you've never done a $5 million project before, so we don't even know if you're going to be able to manage it. So why don't you look for a different time? No, that's not going to happen. They're going to, be willing to work with them. And also when we do the job contract, we would make sure these subs get paid on time, because one of the biggest problems in the public works contracting space is subcontractors not being paid on time.
Right.
By the owner or by the prime. So what we did is we established what we call a lockbox, and that lockbox is when the work is performed by the prime, and the owner is going to pay. The owner will put that money into that lockbox. So, so then the prime has to sign for it. The sub has to sign, and the owner signs. So when they all sign together, now the money is being dispersed to the different subcontractors in an even manner, and they get paid on time within the time frame. So that's another way to ensure that, when a woman-owned business is participating on a big project like that they get paid on time so they can stay on the job, pay their workers, take care of their families. That's the kind of way we did it.
Well, that makes more sense than taking the whole shebang and then
Yeah,
waiting for months to get your pay, and then which then
exactly.
puts you in jeopardy on any of your other projects and
Oh
your
yeah,
business as well, because you don't have revenue coming in.
right. And many primes, they'll take the money and they won't pay the sub. They'll say, well, you didn't submit your paperwork on time, so we can't pay you this time. And all of those little things are things that they do to really make life uncomfortable for a subcontractor. And then let's say a subcontractor missed 2 payment periods, right? Now it's 60 days. They haven't been paid. Now the sub is getting nervous because they're going, hey, I got to pay my workers, because
Right.
the state of California said every worker, when they work, you got to pay them either weekly or every other week. So you can't afford to owe your workers. That's a sub's responsibility right there. So
Ah.
so the state is not going to say, well, the prime didn't pay you, so it's a prime fault. The state is saying, hey, you hire those workers to put on that project, you're responsible for them.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
So there are some provisions in place for that.
Yeah,
But again, like you're saying, but you're dividing up the work, so it's not all laid on one person,
exactly.
and then that person is going out there and getting those. It's a team. You're coming in as a team.
The whole team. And the contract providers, when they make decisions, the decision is made based on the team. Not going to be made on one of the contractors.
Okay.
All of them. That's going to be responsible.
Okay, so that's a much more efficient way to do that.
Yeah.
And definitely if you're just coming into, because I know we talk to people or clients all the time about being certified, and but then they can't find opportunities. So it's really about how they're networking and not really going out there.
They network, right? Because there's certain primes out there who are nervous about taking on new subcontractors and doing business with them because they've never done business with them before, so they don't know if they can deliver. And especially if it's a high profile project, they're going, hey, I don't want my name to get messed up on this project, so I don't know, maybe I'll just bring back one of my older sub that I've used before, even though that sub wasn't very efficient. I'd rather bring them up. They say it's good to work with the evil that you know
and the evil that you don't know.
And the evil you don't know. So that's how many of the primes operate. So it's going to be up to these new subcontractors, the women entrepreneurs, and the other ones, the other minority subcontractor who's never done the work before, to convince that prime that, hey, take a chance on me, make a bet on me, and see, that's where their value proposition comes in. That's where their what do you call this? It's my favorite phrase. I can't remember it. Something another proposition. Anyway, but when you come in and you're convincing a prime or an owner that you should be a subcontractor or subconsultant of choice, you got to show them what you're willing to risk. You see what I mean? What you're willing, because let's say you and I are teaming up. We're going to do something. We never worked together before. And let's say it's a Mount Sac project, right?
Right.
So we got the Mount Sac project. I've never worked with you before, but I'm going, Crystal, I'd like you to come in and work with these women participants who they don't know anything about bookkeeping or accounting. I'd like you to teach them. But I don't know if you've ever worked with that population before, and I don't know if you're able to deliver to 30 female participants before. So I'm a little nervous right now. So what do you think? How do you think we can do this? So now you're going to say, I understand that we've never worked together before, and you may have some reservations. However, here is what I'm willing to do to make you feel comfortable.
Mm.
I'm putting together my program outline. I want you to see what the program is about. I want you to see the duration. I want you to see how I'm going to deliver this.
Okay.
I'm going to deliver it this type of way. We're going to have classroom session. We're going to have hands-on coaching and training. We're going to have technical assistance. We're going to have video role plays, all of those things you're telling me that you're going to do, and you're going to do it within a certain time frame. You're going to follow up with them to make sure that when you give them homework assignments, that they're going to do it, they're going to get it right, because here's a little cheat sheet over here they can use to do some examples and some, you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So now, in my mind, I'm going, oh, damn, I like what she's saying. It sounds like this is a winning proposition. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So let's give them a try. And then on top of that, I still can't remember the phrase, but on top of that, you're going to say, tell you what, if what I'm doing with these women participants don't produce a result, I am willing to give you back 20% of the contract amount. That's a big, how should I say? It's a big thing to put out there.
Right, exactly. Well, because you're saying I'm guaranteeing my work by telling you literally I can do this. And the way I'm gonna back that up is I'm gonna give you, if it doesn't go, if for whatever reason I can't deliver based upon what I've told you I could, then I'm willing to give you 20% back of what we did, because I didn't fulfill my end of the contract.
That's right. Yeah, the phrase I was thinking about, Crystal, is unique selling proposition.
Yeah, that is your favorite. That is your favorite word.
Phrase, okay.
Yeah, USP.
My USP, unique selling proposition. So when you put that on the line and say, "Hey, I'm willing to wager that I get back 20% of this if I don't meet that deadline," and or that desired outcome. And now I'm going, wow, for her to be willing to put that on the line, she must be very confident that she can do it. Well, let me give her a try and see if she can deliver.
Right, exactly.
And then
I like that.
Yeah, and then also you're going to tell me, all right, here's how I'm going to do this to convince you that I really know what I'm talking about. I'm going to do it in increments. So if increment 1 and 2 are not working, we can cut it off right there and stop the program. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That right there will just strum up so much confidence in the contract provider or the owner to make them feel like, hey, you know what? This subconsultant, this subcontractor, they can do this. I feel they can do it, because she wouldn't have been putting her money on the line like that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So she basically, understanding what she can bring to the table and willing to back up what she's going to bring to the table.
That's
right.
What I'm talking
I
about.
think that's excellent. And I think, and that's a good approach, especially for introducing women to a bigger marketplace. Yes. Can you tell me, since we're talking about this, what is say if I was working in a transactional position versus working in something contractual, what is the percentage difference of revenue that one can generate? Not to be the same exact amount, but what are the percentages when you working transactional business contracts versus, business one-offs versus contractual?
So we know that when an entrepreneur does business, there's no guarantee that their customers are going to come back next week, next month, next year. You see what I mean? So many entrepreneurs, they take what they can get when they get it. And a lot of times this happens when the transaction is hot, when it's spicy, and the customer love what they're getting. But we know that after a while, the customer become disinterested, and they come up with reasons as to why they cannot continue to support or purchase the services or the products.
Right.
That happens. And we know that when we have customers, it's less than 20% that will return. Even when we do workshops, we know this, right? When we do outreach for our workshops, let's say we outreach to 100 participants. How many may show up?
You may get 10
or less. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So since we know that it's the same thing that happens with the transactional business when the customers come in and they're to purchase, because remember, they got to leave where they are at to come to your place of business or go online, purchase something from it's a pain. They're going, you're not the first person they're thinking about. But if you can get this contract where you're providing the services to them as a consultant, and you're making sure you have a system in place to follow up with those customers to say, hey, how do you feel about the service you're delivering? I know you purchased this from us last week. Are you happy with the purchase? Is there anything else we can do for you to make you feel better about it? How about the pain that we solve? We all know that pain is solved in one of three ways, or even all three ways: time, money, and resources, right?
Right, exactly.
So we're going to reach out to them and say, hey, was the price right? Do you feel like the price was good? I know it was a little expensive. How about the time it took for you to get this product or service delivered? Was that on time? Was it any delay? Yeah, you did it on time. And how about the resource we provide you? We provide you a support team that will call you, will follow up with you, will address any need. How about that? Oh, yeah, we like that. So that means, at least we got 2.5 out of 3 right. We did it right. So what do you think? What do you think we can do to improve this? And then they're going to tell you. And then once you do those types of things for them, they're going to make you their primary service provider. You see what I'm saying? Because your competition is not doing that for them. The competition is never doing that. So that's the kind of thing that we need to do as women-owned businesses, small and minority disadvantaged businesses, to make sure we go the extra mile to deliver what? Value. We got to deliver value to our customers that way. And then if our customers include contract providers, then the contract providers are going to go, I love the way you do business. You have a high level of quality that you deliver to these customers. We're happy with you. Our project managers are happy with you. You see what I mean?
Right.
So these are the types of things I would, I would tell to the entrepreneurs that I coach, that I guide, that I consult with. Instead of complaining about a process, complaining about a system, complaining about, they're not giving me any opportunity. That's part of being ready. You got to be ready at all times. Be ready. So if they call on you, you can say, oh, sure, I can do that. You know how many times I get called? I'm in a Costco's or I'm on the road somewhere. Someone calls me, hey, Gilbert, can you do this workshop for me tomorrow? Sure, not a problem, because I always have my materials ready to go. All I got to do is tweak it, change the logo, do, some little things there, and I'm ready to go.
Right, exactly. Got to be ready. Yeah. And so I think this is excellent because, if we're looking to change, if we're going into a new world of a country run by a woman, this is our opportunity. It's like when Obama was elected, right? Yeah. We didn't necessarily use it to our best advantage, right? But as a woman going into 2025, she becomes a woman. I think we need to be thinking more strategic, like you're saying. We don't need to do anything by ourselves. Exactly. What we should be doing is working together so that we can make a difference. So you trying to go after contracts all by yourself and you're just emerging into this space, that makes no sense. Why don't you, as you said, Gilbert, put together your value proposition, go to those individuals that are already out there operating in that space, and then offer them present them with your expertise and how you can help facilitate that contract and take it to the next level.
And sometimes they'll say, you know what? I love what you're offering, but we work in a package kind of way. We would like to see, not only do we want to see a bookkeeper, but we also want to see a consultant that does coaching. We want to see someone that does some marketing. We want to see someone that does a website development. Guess who's on top of your mind now? You're thinking about Cha-Cha. You're thinking about yourself. You're thinking about me. You're thinking about someone else who does marketing, you know, maybe Melanie or someone like that. And we put this team together. Now we approach them and say, here's our team. And it's not like we're going to try to build a team when they ask us. We're going to already have access.
Already have the team together.
We already vetted them. You know, we already pre-qualified them to make sure we know they already have their insurance in place, all of those things, you know.
Right.
So that's the way in which I'm seeing women-owned businesses benefiting in the marketplace come 2025 and beyond.
Okay, I like that. And I think, you know, we've been talking about playing around with some programs that we can offer. I think that's a program, that whole networking piece, because that's one of the things I've found. I've had a number of clients that I coach, and that's what I'm coaching them on is how do you network to success, right? So that's what you just talked about is one, understanding what your value proposition is. And then when you go out to network, you are thinking about, okay, here's a project. What can I bring to the table? But what can she bring to the table? What can he bring to the table? Right. What can we do together? And then let us sit down and present this as a joint effort versus me as a single person. Exactly. And then we can get bigger contracts but not be solely responsible for the whole entire the nut right there.
Right. See, when I go out, Crystal, looking for opportunities, I don't just look for myself. As you know, when I'm out there, I'm looking for you. I'm looking for other people in our team, our framework, our pool. Right. So if they're saying, okay, I only need someone to do bookkeeping, I need someone to do procurement or mentor protege, then that will be you and I. You see what I'm saying? If they said, okay, not only do I want bookkeeping and the mentor protege or procurement or labor compliance, but I also need someone to do marketing, do some website. Bam, we're bringing in Cha-Cha now, right? We're bringing in Cha-Cha and someone else who does marketing, you know. So this is already on top of mind and we're ready to go. So when we're going out there, we're pitching it that way too. Because we know contract providers, they don't want to just talk to us. They want to talk to a group of us.
I think that's an excellent way, and that's a better way of looking at it. Because, you know, there's so many people say, oh, yeah, I became certified, but I don't know what to do with it, right? Yeah. You know, I don't understand. And how do I get jobs? Okay, I can go to a posting and see RFPs. But again, what do I do? How do I do that? But I don't think they're really navigating themselves really into the inner workings of that. You know, like where is the circle of people that are like-minded, like I am, and how do I get into that? Not on the exterior, just looking at the computer and seeing the listing. That's just like a job listing. That means nothing to you, right?
See, the mistake that many entrepreneurs make is once they get certified, they start looking at opportunities for themselves. They're not looking at opportunities for the group. You see what I mean? They're looking for themselves, and that's how they get rejected a lot. Because because many primes go, I would like to work with you, but I need this scope of work and that scope of work and this scope of work to be performed too. Because they don't want to spend the time outreaching to all these other consultants. But if you can bring a pool of these consultants already to the table, they go, oh, wow, this is great. Let me do my vetting on them and see if they meet what we're looking for. And then if we all meet that, you know, like, for example, one of the things that I tell all of my clients, you know, whether they're male or female, I said, you want to make sure you have your statement of qualifications ready.
Right.
You gotta have that statement of qualification, because that's what they're going to look at to make decisions about you as to how ready you are.
Mm.
You know, that statement of qualification is going to tell the contract provider how many projects you've worked on similar to what they do. You know, who are some of your clients? You know, you're going to have your references. You're going to have all of those things ready and available.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because recently I got last week or so, I was at an event, and the organization that we've both done some contracting for, the people, excuse me, there's a number of people in there that know me and say they know exactly what I do, but there were some new people there.
Right.
And so someone walked up to me and I introduced myself, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're Crystal." And I'm like, yeah. She goes, "Oh my God, your name is bantered around all the time in meetings when we're talking about clients and how we need to do this." They're like, "Well, call Crystal and call Crystal, call Crystal, call Crystal." So I got a call the other day, an email asking me that there was some new younger people that is in this organization, and they were like, "We just keep hearing your name, so we reached out to you. We're running this new program, and we want to know if you would be available and to teach a class." And I was like, "Okay, what kind of class you're looking for?" And so they give me this whole litany of everything, all the finances, the taxes, structure, accounting, the whole litany. And so I said, "Yeah, I can do that." And so she said, "Do you want me to create the presentation?" No, I already got like 4 or 5 presentations with all of that stuff in it. I have them separate, and I have it I have it together. And so they're like, "Oh, okay." And then so they had to go back. It's just 3 of them. And like you said, being ready, right? So I have my statement of qualifications. I have a speaker sheet, and then I have all of the presentations that I've done with impact.
See, many of the consultants in your space,
Mm-hmm.
they're not as ready as you, because you do this stuff every day. You know what's needed, so you've got it ready. You got your SOQ, you've got your speaker sheet, you got your capability statement, you got videos, you got everything ready. So if a contract provider say, "How about this? Oh, here you go. How about that? Oh, I got it right here."
Right,
that's
exactly.
the thing that will impress them.
Right. And, and that's the wonderful thing, because if you've been doing any consulting since 2020, pretty much every agency out there has a video on you.
Yeah.
And all they have is somebody asked me that the other day. I said, "You just need to go to your archives. I teach for you like 3 times a month. So somewhere in your archive, wherever you store in your videos, your YouTube channel, that's where I am." And they're like, "Oh yeah, okay." But yeah, you're absolutely right. So when we talk to women about business, and I like that concept, is not, and I just recently had a conversation with a client of mine, and she's not very comfortable with networking. So I have actually gone out with her a couple of times and introduced her to certain people, and so that she can get the lay of the land. And then, but I told her, I said, that's one of the very first things that I learned from a guru of mine when I first launched my business. Do your networking first. Establish a solid network in the space that you want to be in, and where these people can actually introduce you to other people. Because of course, if you're getting word of mouth recommendation, that's so much better than cold calling.
Oh, for sure.
Right. And then when that time comes, you already have it in place. So for business owners, it just doesn't stop with the work. I mean, we all know that, right? It's so much more to outside, but to embrace all of this, you really have to make sure you have your support network out there with you, and be willing to maybe step down from feeling like you're the center of attention and be behind the scenes every now and then. You will get your opportunity to shine, but it's better that you try to work with people, a coalition of people that are already have established a relationship in the workspace that you want to be in.
getting a contract is only 40% of the effort. 40%. The other 60% comes from the networking, having good relationships with a project manager or the other participants on other teams, generating reports and submitting reports on time, submitting your invoices on time, and submitting your invoicing, make sure they're accurate and correct.
Right. Exactly.
Those are things that you've got to do, and make sure that you do them accurately, do them efficiently, on time. And those parts make up the other 60% of getting a contract. You'll hear in workshops out there, they'll say, getting a contract is the easy part. Maintaining the contract
is the
a
difficult
tough
part. And sometimes even the person that's contracted you to do something, sometimes they slip. And so sometimes you got to go, excuse me, don't I have a workshop with you? Did you send me the information? You got to stay. Or how was the marketing this week? Did we get enough people? Do you want to send a flyer to me so I can help you bring? Because now they see that you're proactively involved in the process. You're not just sitting there waiting for it to come through and they do all the work. So next time they got a project, you're at the top of the list. You got to kind of rise from the bottom to the top. So it does take a lot of strategy to make that happen.
Oh, yeah. When I get a client, I got to know this client intimately. I want to know everything about their company, how long they've been in business, how many streams of revenues they've got coming in, the different product types that they have, all of those things I want to know. I also want to know, what is the, gosh, I can't remember this. I'm losing it right here. But there's a cost to get a customer acquisition cost.
Yeah.
Customer acquisition cost. So for every customer you get, there is a cost associated with that. How high is that? Is it an average rate? Is it a reasonable rate? Is it too high? Because if it's too high, now it's eating out of your revenue. It's taking your revenue from you, because now this becomes an expense.
Right, exactly.
To your business. So these are things that you want to know about your customers when you're taking them on. And it's amazing that this trucking company reached out to me. They were referred to me by another company in Northern California. I interfaced with that company once, but they remembered me. They like what I said to them, so they kept referring companies to me.
Okay. And then that's it. That's the important part, right? Because then the word of mouth gets around.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you get to a place that you have an opportunity to say no, but you're not needy, right? So you can evaluate that particular person or the organization or the job before you actually take it and see if it actually is to your benefit. Because not all clients are good clients, and not all good clients, you need to know when to say no. We've all been that.
Some of these clients will suck up 80% of your time. So you got to make sure you assess them properly and make sure that this is a good deal for you to get involved in.
Exactly. So we're going to come around. This has been a great conversation. So what we're saying to women today is that this is a moment for you.
Yes.
But you need to really shift the way you've been thinking, be able to identify the value proposition that you're bringing to the table, and then find those voices and that support that will amplify you to help you raise yourself above. I think especially in a time when men are trying to devalue us, we have to really show what our value is. And be proud to walk around and say, hey, this is what I bring to the table, right? And so I saw a cute meme on I think it was on an Instagram reel, and the boyfriend or the husband was asking her, what did she bring to the table? So I have to share it with you, but it was quite funny. So she had a pot on her head, she had pots on tops on her boobs and in her middle, right? And so he's like, "What do you bring to the table?" So she hit the head several times, and then the body parts, and she didn't even speak. She just, "This is what I bring to the table. What you bring to the table."
That's hilarious.
So I thought that was funny. But as a woman, we have to do that. We have to be able to make sure
outperform your competitors.
outperform your competitors. We as women need to make sure we're playing a critical role in the shaping of the world.
Yeah.
One of the things that Kamala had said last night, and Michelle Obama has said it, Obama himself has said it, is we can't sit back and complain.
Right.
We got to do, right? We got to be action oriented. We have to, if we're not happy with how our children are being educated, then we need to jump in there and make
Do
it and
something
make
about
a
it.
change, right? Make
Yeah.
a change.
Yeah.
If we're not happy with our health insurance or with the people, the political parties that are operating that we voted for, then you got to make them accountable. You
That's
cannot
right.
sit back and not say anything
That's
to have
right.
a better world. You have to speak up, because when you don't speak up, you allow them to create a world that they want you to live in versus you creating a world that you can thrive in and reach your fullest potential. So that's where we are. We're kind of at a turning point right now. Women, we know we bring tremendous value to this world. We cannot step back on our laurels. We cannot let them push us back to 18th to the 1700s, because it's like Black people. The stuff that we have done to be able to survive today, 200, 400 years later on, we can't step back from that fight. We have to.
That alone right there shows me how amazing this culture is, because they've gone through all kinds of stuff, all kinds of adversity, and they're still surviving. They're still around. They're still making things happen. A lot of the things that they've created have become trend. You watch movies, you hear people talking the way that Black people talk, the people wearing the type of things that Black people wear. You see what I'm saying? So,
just a mirror. If you watch the Olympics, and the Olympics was like perfect for the prelude, the prelude to the DNC, right?
Yeah.
Because those women on the track field, the women on the in gymnastics, the swimmers,
the way they dress,
the way they dress,
is trying to copy them,
and everybody. And what was the culture that was predominant? I don't care what country you went to, who it was, whose culture rose to the top.
It was
our culture,
man.
I mean, even when you looked at that, the breaking, which is come and gone now, but they were doing break dancing. Where did break dancing come from?
That's right, man. 1980, right there. 1980.
Right, exactly. All of that is things that we have been doing, and so they want our culture, but we as Black people have to make sure we stand up and show that this is our culture. You guys may not want us, but you sure in the heck are absorbing everything. You look at international movies, you see us. You look at Bollywood, and I watch a lot of international TV.
Dances. You see the dances? It's the same thing. The same thing. That's a dance that they adopted from us.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
It's unbelievable.
So
here's one other thing, co-host, that's really it's been killing me, right? And I haven't seen anyone or heard anyone else taking up this fight.
What's that?
A lot of us wear these designer clothes, these designer things, these designer that, and who is making the money on that? Not us.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So why can't we make our own stuff and wear that? Why can't we make that the trend? Why do I have to wear Balenciaga stuff? Why do I have to wear Gucci?
Right.
Because somebody has said it's okay, you should be wearing this. No, I want to go out there Crystal, I want to go to the store. I want to go to what's the name of this big store here? I can't think of it, but one of those big high fashion stores.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see an outfit with the name Crystal on it. You see what I'm saying? Crystal. I don't want to see Balenciaga. I want to see Crystal.
Yeah, that's what I always tell my
You see what I'm
client.
saying?
Yeah, don't be, be the trendsetter. Don't be the follower of
Follower
somebody
of the
else's.
trend.
You
Exactly.
can take something that existing and you can actually create your own version of it. And it's all in the marketing. It's all in the presentation and how you get it out there. I mean, I tell when I'm in coaching clients and people are talking about competition, and it's very, very true. Most of my peers all of us are coaches.
Yeah.
But we all have our own special value proposition,
Right.
how we deliver our product.
Yeah.
And you can tell the ones of us that are doing it well because they keep coming back for us. And there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of word of mouth recommendations. And so you don't even have to think about it. You just do the job.
Right.
You just do the best job you can do. And you have to have a love for the work that you're doing. Right.
That's
so
right. And commitment.
And it's not that I can't teach on starting a business any different than anybody else. Just I have my own style about how doing it. You have your own style and your expertise in the areas that you're in. But I don't find it when we're not competing, we actually work together. And a whole lot of people that I work with, we work together. It's like there's no competition. It's just
I would just love to see many of our entrepreneurs, many of our people in our community stop doing this designer stuff and this, paying like $35,000 for a purse.
Yeah.
It's made by Birking or whoever.
Yeah, see, I've never been I don't support nobody else's habits. I only support my own habits. So I ain't trying to make other people rich.
Even if you want to pay a large amount for a purse, pay $1,000. You got 34,000 left. You can invest that into a business or something. You see what I mean? That's where I'm coming from. Because remember this, Crystal. After slavery was abolished in 1865 and they finally recognized it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of our foreparents, we didn't have anywhere to go. We didn't have anyone to hire us or anything like that. So we had to become entrepreneurs. We had to start our own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And we had to be creative as to how we got money to start that business. That gentleman who started the insurance company, he started the first insurance company and sell policies to African Americans. And so when people died, they had a good burial, everything was good. They were paying for the funeral in installments, right? But they were able to bury their loved ones. And that gentleman who started that insurance company, he was one of the first millionaires, right?
Right, so exactly. Yeah, A.G. Gaston.
Exactly. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So instead of us spending all this money on Bugattis and Ferraris and all of these types of car, I would buy me a nice little luxury car that probably costs about 90 grand or something like that. The rest of the money I'm investing in homes, I'm investing in real estate, I'm investing in businesses.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Why have a Bugatti and you're living in an apartment?
Yeah, no, but that's ridiculous. I mean, a purse that you can't put, and in the purses you can't put them on the floor. They cost too much to be laid on the floor. They gotta have their own little table. You gotta rent another table to put your purse in, or rent another chair.
That expensive purse.
And I don't know how many cars you need. You can only drive one at a time.
So I want us to get out of that mindset, man, and we'll become self-sufficient and sustainable. The women entrepreneurs, the male entrepreneurs alike, minority entrepreneurs, we need to, our mindset need to change.
Right, exactly. I agree.
That's what I'm talking about.
I agree. Okay, well, this has been an excellent show. So we want you guys to go to the comments and comment section on our YouTube and talk about some of the things that you feel are how women are making a difference in the society, in our society, in your world, in your child's world, in your parents' world, and let's uplift each other. And as Gilbert just went through talking about how we can work together. We're not in competition with one another. Let's work together to make a difference. And when we do elect Kamala, let's make sure we're not just all the enthusiasm is not on the front end and we don't take advantage of all of the opportunities that will be presented. Because remember, she will be the very first Black woman, the very first minority woman, the very first biracial woman to be in that seat ever. And so we want to not just put her in there and leave her unattended. We need to make sure we make her look good and let her progress and let her have 2 terms like Obama did. And then at the same time, let's make this place a better place for our children. Let's make sure we have better education for our kids. Let's make sure we protect everybody's rights. Make sure that women have rights over their own bodies, and their own lives, their own money, their own investments. Let's create a more harmonious place for our children to grow up in. Let's educate our kids to make sure that they can become fully functional adults. Let's make some change.
Sure that we start partnering with our male counterparts, making sure that we respect each other. We don't see each other as adversaries. We see each other as partners, and we work together. We don't need to be, ripping down each other and men ain't this and men ain't that, or women ain't this. We need to work together because we got to work together. There's no way around this. No way around it. We have to work together.
We have to work together. That's what makes the world go round, working together. And truly, as Gilbert just said, why are you using all your resources when you can collaborate and together and to expand your resources together? That's the better, more efficient way to work. Partnerships and collaborative teamwork is so much, you get so much more out of it than trying to work by yourself. So that's kind of where we're going to end the show. We want to thank you guys for joining us today. Let's be excited about what's happening in the political world. Let's go out and vote, because it means nothing if we don't go out and vote. Make sure your children,
you need to
go do that. Make sure your children understand what's at stake, and parents, sit down and have conversations. Your kids are not too young to have conversations about politics. They really truly need to understand, because it's really about them, right? It's really about them making a better world for them. So with that, Gilbert and I are going to sign off. We're going to ask you guys to go over to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. There it is right there. And subscribe to our channel. There's tons of shows over there that you can learn a lot. This is not the only topic we've had. Go back and look at our playlist, and go to our YouTube, our social, our LinkedIn page, our Instagram page. And now, Gilbert, we have a TikTok page.
So we do.
We do. So I am putting some TikToks. Some of our shorts are going to go now on our TikTok. Yeah. All right, everyone. It's been awesome. We will see you guys next Friday.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program and control. I'm a business